What you saw was James Comey of the FBI leaving. He is going directly now to meet with President Obama and the National Security Council this afternoon. This following early testimony by all the agency chiefs on worldwide terror threats facing the U.S. It was unbelievable today. Every single terror chief here in the United States was on Capitol Hill. Now they are descending on the White House to meet with the president. This as that ongoing fight between the FBI and Apple ramps up. Is the information on the phone worth enough for President Obama to issue perhaps an executive order to get the information? What does the FBI do next? Joining us now in a Fox Business exclusive on that next step is former CIA Director Ambassador James Woolsey. Ambassador, what can we anticipate is at least the next step in this fight?
Well, as long as it's a fight, it's not going to work. You have two really important values here being defended, one by the FBI and one by Apple. And one is essentially privacy, and the other is security. And they conflict here. And I think what we have to do is take a step back and see if Congress could come up with a new statutory system for making decisions in cases like this that resolve these problems. I would use the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the FISA court, which is used to making decisions about matters of this kind, and give them absolutely exclusive jurisdiction over decisions like this. And then when there is a decision which would require a new set of technology to be put together, let's say by Apple or any other company, let that be entirely within the hands of Apple, and the only thing that is transmitted to the outside world, to the court or anybody, is the conclusion. And so there's no leak of the nature of the technology out into the wider world. Well, I don't know that would work, but I think there's a chance.
Okay. Well, guess what? It is still a battle right now, and the wagons are circling. We just got this breaking news. In the wake of Microsoft filing a brief supporting Apple, that was earlier today, we now have this. According to the Dow Jones Newswires, Google and Facebook are not just tweeting out their support, they are filing motions supporting Apple. So now it still does continue to be a battle. Look, Ambassador, I don't pretend to guess where anybody stands on this, because I think what we've discovered is it is extremely complicated. And it's disconcerting, but there are people who obviously are taking sides on this. Where do you personally stand on this? You went to Yale Law School. You're a real expert. You worked in the government. Tell us how you feel about this.
I think we ought to do everything possible to avoid the fight. If one side or the other wins here, the other value, privacy versus security, is going to lose, or lose at least to some extent. And you need a system whereby the technology can be kept out of the marketplace, can be kept away from jurisdiction of other courts in other countries or in the United States, can be exclusively held by NSA, but still provides the conclusion that in this case, that there's a third terrorist at large or whatever. I think that it's not going to work if one side or the other wins outright here. There's going to be some real losses unless we can have a statutorily driven compromise.
And before people start piling on Silicon Valley saying they're refusing to help, you know, you do have Twitter and Facebook now shutting down ISIS-related sites. And in fact, this came out that there is an ISIS propaganda movie that's out now that in a horrific image has showed bullet holes through the foreheads of Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook and Jack Dorsey of Twitter, because they have shut down ISIS websites and ISIS's attempts to tweet. So, you know, to be fair and balanced on this, Silicon Valley isn't entirely digging in its heels, except that with this one issue, why do you feel that we should sort of, for lack of a better term, tiptoe around on eggshells here? Apple, lots of people say, should just open that one phone.
Well, if they do that with no changes in the underlying statutory structure, then tomorrow some other court is going to say, we've got a different problem, now we're going to issue a similar order. Or some court in another country is going to claim they've got jurisdiction to do so. I don't think this can be resolved with the current statutory structure. without one side or the other losing, and I don't want either of them to lose. They're both stating principled positions. I'd like to change the way the game is played so the technology gets held closely by the National Security Agency, but the conclusion is given by NSA to this Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act.
We have to run, and they're going to kill me for asking this final question because we're out of time, but does it go as far as the Supreme Court? Yes or no? Your best guess?
I think under the current structure, it will probably go to the Supreme Court, but I don't think that's the way we want things to work out. I think you have to change the structure to let both sides win.
Ambassador James Woolsey, Foundation for Defense of Democracy's chairman and chancellor of the Institute of World Politics, as well as the former head of the CIA. Thank you very much.
Good to be with you.